Hi loves, welcome back to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to cut and sew this beautiful play suit and jumpsuit. Do subscribe to the channel, share to friends, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. So guys, the first thing first you're going to be marking is the full length of our shirt, okay? Because this is going to be a jumpsuit. So I'm going to be marking the short part of the jumpsuit now. That is the down part of it. So I'm going to be working with 22 inches plus extra 2 inches. That is for my hemming or folding or allowance. Okay, so from here down is 24 inches. Having done this now, I'm going to divide my hip measurement by 4, which I will have 9.5 inches. Adding it 1 inch, I'll get my crotch depth. But because this is a jumpsuit, I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch to it. That is making it 2 inches to my hip measurement when I divide it by 4. So when I divide it by 4, I have 9.5 plus 2 inches, I have 11.5. So I'll go ahead and mark it, starting from this start point line, which is serving as my waistline. So this is the crotch depth. I've marked it. So now I'm going to divide my hip measurement by 4 again, which is 9.5, plus 1 inch seam allowance, making it 10.5. I'll mark it on this crotch depth line here. I also mark it on my waistline, which is here. Then I'm going to be connecting them together using a straight line. Having done this now, the next thing to do is you're going to measure your lap measurements. What you have around your lap, the upper lap. So mine is 12 inches plus 1 inch. Will make mine is 12.5 inches plus 1 inch. Will be making it 13.5 inches. And this is what I have. Okay. So this 13.5, I'm also going to come here to the bottom part of the short, and I also go ahead and mark it there. Then I'm going to connect them together this way. So this is what I have. Then here now, I'm going to make a curve. All right. So from here to here is 11.5 inches. So getting our hip measurements now is at 8 inches. From the waistline to 8 inches, you get your hip measurements. So from that 8 inches now, you're going to make a curve into this lap line or crotch depth. And this is what I have. So having done this now, the next thing to do is, this is your waistline. So our waistline is 7.25 inches. But because this is going to have a drawstring here, I'm going to be adding about 2 inches to it, or 2.5 inches, because of our because of our string. So if you want it to be fuller, you go ahead and add extra more. So I use 3 inches at this waist area. So from here now, I'm going to drag it down to my hip, then to the bottom of the short. Then we'll go ahead and cut this piece out. So this I've done now. I'm going to be using this to cut out my back piece. So guys, this is for my back piece. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric, place my front piece on top of it. All right, and this is what we have. Now for this side now, that is the center side, this area, we're going to be adding extra 2 inches to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark my 2 inches extra. is what we have. You're going to make the same curve just like how you did for your front piece. I also went ahead to make the same thing. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Please note, if you don't want your palazzo to be too big, like too bulky like this one I'm doing, you can decide to like reduce it. The choice is totally yours. Okay, you can just decide to maybe trim it in, but I just want it to be full, like poku poku. That's why I left it to be big this way. So having done this now, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So the next thing we're going to be cutting out now is our upper part. That's the upper part of our play suit or jumpsuit. So first of all, you're going to mark the full, your half length. Okay, so my half length is 16.5 inches. I'll be adding extra 1.5 to it. All right, so and I'm going to be having, my half length is 16 inches. I'll be adding extra 1.5 to it, and I'm going to be having 17.5 inches. Okay, and this is where it lies. So here now we start my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. Then you insert your sleeve length, depends on you how wide or how long you want yours to be. Mine is going to be about 10 to 9 inches. 9 to 10 inches or 9.5 inches. Alright, so this is it here. The next thing I'm going to do now, from this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder sleeve. At this point, I'm going to mark my 3 inches shoulder width, or 2.75 inches, because I don't want the neck area to be too wide. So now I'm going to connect this to my shoulder sleeve. And this is what I have. Having done this now, I'm going to come down by 10 inches, 9 to 10 inches for my arm opening, where I'm going to be bringing out my arm. And this is what I have here. Alright, so having done this now, at this point now, you're going to, where your arm opening lies, that is where you're going to be inserting your, like where you're going to place your bust measurements. So my bust measurement is 8.5 inches. I'm going to go ahead and add extra 3.5 inches to it, which I have here. Then I'm going to come to my waist measurement, which is the end of the half length. I'm going to start my waist measurement, which is 7.25. I'm going to add extra 3.5 inches to it. Then I'm going to make a curve from this arm opening now into this part, this way. So having done this now, this is what I have. Then you're going to connect this to this area. Now note, my material is not sufficient enough, so I have to reduce my sleeve length. So if yours is more wider, if you have enough material, go ahead and give enough allowances for your sleeve. So what I'm going to do later on is to join some pieces to my sleeve, okay, if there is need for it. So having done this now, I'm going to cut this piece out. And we'll use this to cut out for our back piece. So this is for my back piece now. I've placed my front piece on top of the back piece, okay, on top of another foot. Sorry, on top of another folded material. Now I left about 1.5 inches for my zip allowance, okay, because we're going to be having a zipper at the back, and I'm going to go ahead and trace it down. So this is what I have. Then coming to the down part of this back now, I'm going to be marking about half an inch. Alright, and I'm going to be connecting it to this area. But before then, I'm going to mark my neck depth. So for my back piece, both the back and the front, I'm going to be using 2 inches for now. Alright, and I'm going to cut it out. Okay, now note we marked half an inch at this point. So this half an inch, I'm going to be connecting it to this piece, to this area. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So having done this now, keep this aside. And bring my front piece. Now for my front piece now, I'm going to be making a slant from this neck width to this point here. Okay, so that's what we're going to go ahead to do now. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and make our slant. Alright, so we're starting from the neck width down to this bottom part that is here. Having done this now, we'll cut it out. So I've done that, and this is what our front piece looks like. Okay, now we're going to be joining it with our back pieces. So this is my back piece. I'm going to face it right side facing each other. So this is what I have. This is one of the back and the front. So we're going to go ahead and run a stitch on it here. Alright, go ahead to stitch on it. The same thing with this other piece. Please, right side facing each other. I'm also going to go ahead and run a stitch on this one. Okay. So guys, I've joined the two shoulders together. This is one piece for the front and the back. Now I'm going to measure. You're going to measure what you have around here. So pick your tape, go ahead and measure what you have around. I have 23 inches. I'm going to cut out a band that is going to be 23 inches or 24 inches long. Okay, now it's going to be 4 inches, 2 inches on a fold. When you open it up, it's going to be 4 inches. So this is what we have. Now I'm going to place it from here. I'm going to run a stitch on it till I get to this point. The same thing I will do to the other piece. Alright guys, so now the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm gonna head to attach the band at this area, the neck areas. Alright, and I also went ahead and folded my sleeve parts. I folded it, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to overlap one of these to this other side. You can decide to overlap this way, you can decide to overlap this way. So it's just the choice is totally yours, how you want your overlap to be. Okay, so this is how I'm overlapping mine. So I'm going to go ahead now and run a stitch here to hold these 2 points together. All right, so now the next thing to do is we're going to go ahead and shape our top. All right, so I'm going to be using 1 inch to run a stitch on it. So that's what I'm going to go ahead to do now. Okay, and please note, for your sleeve area you can also decide to, like the one in the picture is a little bit bulky, you can add a crinoline to it, okay, to give it that shape that is there, please. So the next thing to do now, we're going to be working on the short part of our dress. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and run a stitch on the side. I'm going to close up the side, then this crotch area from here, I'm not touching this part. I'm also going to go ahead and close it up. Alright, so that's what we're going to go ahead to do now. We're going to do it for both sides of our dress. So now the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be joining our shorts together, two legs of the short together. Alright, so I'm gonna head to fix my pockets to one of the shorts. Yeah, so now I'm going to be joining the normal way we join. If you watch most of my videos, you see I attach a pocket to my palazzo pants. All right, so now I'm going to be joining these two parts together. So I'm going to pick the two fronts, go ahead and run a stitch on it round, Then please ensure that the two center piece at this point are aligning. Then I'll do that till I get to this back piece area. But when I get after this point, I'm now going to be slanting my hands inside, my stitches inside. So guys, now the next thing we're going to do is we are done with the short. We're going to be joining it to the front piece, the upper front piece, okay, like the upper part of our jumpsuit. So now I'm going to notch the center piece here. Just go ahead and fold it into two to get the midpoint. Then you notch the midpoint. So you're going to go ahead and do it center to center. Alright, so that's what I'm going to go now to do. Okay, so at this point now, if you're joining it, you may notice that the upper part is a little bit bigger than, larger or SX than the short. So what you have to do is just go ahead and adjust it so that it will be equal. Make sure that the two centers are aligning. So now we're done joining the upper part and the down part together. Now we're going to be marking our casing line. Okay, we're going to be making a casing at this point, this area in front. So first thing first is from this center point now, you're going to mark 3 inches. On this side, and you also go ahead and mark 3 inches on the other side. And this is what I have. So 3 inches on both of the sides. Now from these 3 inches, you're going to measure what you have from the 3 inches away to the back of the jumpsuit. So for this I have about 17 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out a strap that is going to be 17 inches long. Okay, so now this is my strap that I have that is going to go from these 3 inches all the way to the back. Alright, so now the first thing first you have to do is you have to fold it in. This one tip of it, you fold it in. Okay, so when you fold it in, you place it at that 3 inches. Go ahead and run a stitch on it to the back of your jumpsuit. So guys, now I'm going to go ahead and fix the casing for the rope. All right, so I'm going to be, this is the 3 inches we have, so at least you come up by 1.5 inches or 1 inches away from your waistline. Okay, and go ahead and attach your casing. So at this point now, we're going ahead to fix our rope on the casing we made. Okay, and this is what we have, this is what it looks like. So now what you have to do is just draw it to give you your strings. All right, and I'm also gonna head to fix my zip to the back piece. All right, so this is what we have for our romper. Thank you so much for watching. Just subscribe to the channel, share to friends, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Yeah, love you. This is what we have. This is what it looks like.